G'day guys and welcome back today to another video on the Drewzy channel. 9 things we learned from round 6. Here we go. No messing about. Let's get straight into it. Number 1. Dogs respond to stagnant Saints. There was a lot of pressure for the Bulldogs going into this game on Thursday night against the Saints, but what an emphatic win it was. The Dogs scored more in the first half than the Saints did in the entire game. It was an emphatic win, and it was good to see some of their guys that have been so crucial in the past play good games. Guys like Bailey Dale in particular. Ed Richards going into the midfield. He had a good game. The Bont was absolutely sublime. And Aaron Naughton kicking 6 goals. Lots of people have been talking about what position should Aaron Naughton play. I think he could play a bit of a swingman, a bit of a hybrid role, but when he kicks 6 goals, you can't take him out of the forward line. That's the perfect way to respond after the week of criticism that they had, and they go up against a struggling Freo side next week, so there's every chance that the Dogs will be right back on track. And as for the Saints, what the bloody hell was that? They didn't even show up. Maybe you can put it down to a bit of early season fatigue, like we saw from Freo, like we saw from the D's a couple of weeks ago, you know, Richmond as well last week, just tired legs, injured bodies, etc. But without Max King, without Liam Henry, the Saints look like a shell of the side that started the season pretty solid. So I don't know where the Saints sit. I'm not massive on them, to be honest, and that was a disgusting display in one of their first home games at Marvel for the season. Not good. Number 2, the Crows take 1 step forward and 2 steps back. After such a good win last week, and moving the ball fast and being strong out of the centre and Isaac Rankin having such a good game, I sort of just expected the Crows to have turned their season around, turned a bit of a corner, but they just looked like they have in the first month of the season, the Crows. The Dons controlled proceedings in the first half. Adelaide came out firing in that third quarter, but once Essendon got control of the game in sort of the second half of the third quarter, Adelaide couldn't get any sort of momentum, any hold of the game, and Essendon win in a close one. The Sam Draper incident at the end is pretty frustrating that the umpire can't make that call when, you know, it's the obvious call to make. Everyone could see that Draper just sat on it. Umpires need to be better at making those calls late in games and having the nerve to do it, but at the same time, you can't leave the game to the umpires. The Crows, after a good win last week, have gone back to where they were a few weeks before. Number 3, Collingwood are back. Watching the first quarter of this game, you'd think, yep, Porter the real deal. They're not those pretenders anymore that can't win big games at the MCG. And then that exact thing happened. So frustrating as someone that's sort of been getting behind Port this year and believing in them, for them to go and dish up that for the next 3 quarters, they were nowhere near it for the rest of the game. But let's give credit to Collingwood because they looked back to their best. Collingwood did not look anywhere near their best early on in the season, but they've now managed to scrape 3 wins together. They had a good win up at the Gabba. They scraped past Hawthorn at Gather Round, had the week off, reset, and they've come back and they're looking like they are seriously back. I spoke about it after the Brisbane game that their game is built on pressure, turning over the footy, then moving the ball fast, and that's what we were seeing. I thought Collingwood's small forwards were absolutely immense. Bobby Hill, Lachie Schultz, Jamie Elliott doing great things. Will Hoskin-Elliott had one of his best games I've seen in a long time. But they didn't look clunky like they did in the early parts of the season. They looked connected again. They looked together. They were moving the ball with ease. They knew where to find their teammates. And they ended up winning comfortably after a real tough first quarter. This is the Pies that we saw in 2023. They've come back off the bye, fit and firing, ready to go. The Pies are going to be a tough side to beat from here on out, I reckon. Number 4. The Blues are now flag favourites. With the injury list that Carlton have, it shows the character and the system that this club is building. To lose Chera, Adam Sard, Fogarty, Doherty, so many genuine best 22 players and still be able to put out a performance like that against GWS, who have been one of the best sides in the competition, absolutely remarkable. That is as big a win as a club can get. Sam Walsh has come back and hit the ground running. Him and Paddy Cripps are probably the most dangerous duo in the AFL. They absolutely dominated the Giants. Curnow turned it on in the third quarter, as he usually does. When he kicks one, he'll usually kick a few. Harry Mackay got 3, and Tom De Koning had a massive game as well. It was interesting to see how they worked Pitney into this side. Obviously, Tom De Koning's been preferred. They've been playing with De Koning and just the 2 key forwards, but Pitney comes in, puts in a really honest, good shift, and they still manage to have Tom De Koning in the side. So Voss has had to flick the magnets around, play a bit taller, but it's paid dividends. They were trailing by a fair margin in the third quarter. I think it was about 3 goals, and just absolutely stormed home to finish that third quarter, the premiership quarter, kicking, I think, 7 goals in that term. The pressure was immense. The Giants couldn't stop the momentum, and the home ground advantage that the Blues have is just absolutely unreal because their fans are going crazy right now. They're loud, they're passionate, and the Giants just couldn't stop it. Once the Blues got a run on, it was game over. That's a massive statement win against the Giants, who I thought have been the best side early on in this year. For the Blues to do that with a depleted side just shows how good they truly are. Great win, Blues fans. Going up against the undefeated Geelong this week at the G, that's absolutely massive. Number 5. The Cats are primed perfectly for a premiership push. I only watched parts of this game, obviously, because it overlapped with the Derby, but I thought Brisbane were back after that big win against the D's. You know, the Gabba has been a fortress in the past, not so much anymore. I think they've lost 3 there this season. Could be wrong, but I think it could be 3. Collingwood, Carlton and Geelong. Yeah, they've lost 3 games there, which is unheard of for the Lions. So they're still pretty far from it, but let's give credit to Geelong. Getting it done in the toughest conditions, pouring rain up in Queensland. Usually you'd chalk that up as a loss for just about any side. I don't know if anyone saw the Cats being 6-0 to start the season. They've still got 7 games at GMHBA. They've managed Danger well. They've managed Tui. Still got Kola Jasny to come back in as well. They've just primed themselves perfectly. You can tell that they're playing the long game here to manage their more important players, giving the games to some younger players like Toby Conway, Tanner Bruin, Jai Clark, etc. through the middle. But they've still got Guthrie to come back into that midfield, Danger to get more minutes, so on. So Geelong have absolutely started this season to perfection. Whether or not they win the flag this year, I'm not sure. Probably not. But at this point in the season, they are in the perfect position to do so. Number 6. Harley Reid is Freo's dad. We don't have to talk about this game, do we? We can skip this one, surely. Yeah, I actually don't want to speak about this one. So should we finish the video there? No, all right, we got to speak about it, right? Let's go. Still haven't quite wrapped my head around the fact that we are 3-3. If you had have told me that the Dockers would be 3-3 after Michael Walters kicked a goal to put us 2 goals ahead against Carlton at Gather Round, I would have laughed in your face and told you, you need psychological therapy, mate. You are mental. 3 weeks later, we're 3-3. We've had 3 heartbreaking losses in a row, and I'm the one that needs therapy. David King says, it's not about what team you play, it's about when you play them. Freo coming off 2 tough battles, absolute wars where we've had to play a 4-quarter effort, fight tooth and nail to agonisingly lose both games. We're away from home for 2 weeks. We come back. We come up against West Coast, who beat Richmond last week, who have a bit of hype around Harley Reid, in front of 54,000, a home crowd at home. And it was just a recipe for a West Coast win. Brayshaw, Sarong, Fife, and Hayden Young couldn't deal with Harley Reid. This kid is so explosive. He's so fast, clean, tough. He pushed Fife over. Now, Nathan Fife is my hero. So you can imagine how that made me feel, seeing an 18-year-old kid playing his first derby make Nathan Fife look like a little boy. The hype for Harley Reid isn't enough. This kid is so much better than I could even imagine he would be. The contested marks he took, going forward, he's such a threat. He's good at winning free kicks when he needs to as well. He just has everything. This kid does not have a weakness in his game, and he's played like 5 games at the AFL level. Where is he going to be when he's in his prime years? A 27, 28-year-old after 10 years in the league, a few hundred games under his belt. You can see why this kid was the most hyped pick the league has ever seen. Yo and Kelly are back to their best. Barras, McGovern, they made it hard for our forwards to get going all night. Not that we had the ball in our front half all night, because their mids were absolutely dominating. Jake Waterman is playing out of his skin. Brady Hoff's coming on. West Coast, they're not bad anymore. It's crazy. They've just turned the corner like that. And I've given West Coast fans so much grief over the past couple of years, especially Jesse. Said some pretty outrageous things. But look at their spine. Barras, McGovern, great midfield, Waterman, Darling. You just need to build around that and you're sweet. So they could literally just turn it on its head and, get wins every couple of weeks and be a somewhat competitive side in the league. Probably won't make finals. They definitely won't make finals. Maybe they will. Maybe Harley Reid will win them a flag this year. I don't know. That West Coast side was not the one that we've seen for the last sort of 18 months or whatever, though. That was something different. Freo, we need to move the ball better. Our forward connection still isn't there. Jai Amos going down in the first 5 minutes doesn't help. I swear to God, if we bring in Matt Taberner to replace Jai Amos, I might as well just delete my YouTube channel and call it quits and go back to England. We're moving the ball too slow. It allows teams to set up behind the ball and then they go quick and we get caught out on the counter. But let's just put a line through that one. It sucks that we had to have an off game against West Coast, but we did. And we move on. I am scared to play Harley Reid in every derby for the foreseeable future. This kid is the new king of Perth. He looks like Ben Cousins, Chris Judd, and Daniel Kerr all in one. He's unreal. I could not praise Harley Reid any higher. And he's hard to hate. Like, he's a likable kid. Yeah. Living in my head rent-free is Harley Reid. He's baffling me now. I'm done. I've said enough. Number 7. I thought the Suns were past this. Watching this game and listening to the commentary going, oh, you know, the Suns, they're a young side. They'll learn from this. I was like, nah. Hang on. The Suns have been good this year. Their midfield's been one of the best in the comp. They have been good. It is well noted that Damien Hardwick has this Suns side playing well. They've just had a week off. And that second half against the Swans, they didn't even show up. Credit to the Swans. They're a great side. But come on, Gold Coast. What are we? What do we stand for as a footy club up here at Gold Coast? Conceded 7 goals to 2 in the third quarter. Playing like an absolute Fremantle Dockers of a club. And you are not that Gold Coast. You are better than that. So the narrative that, oh, you know, young side coming up against a good Sydney Swans outfit. Yeah, the Swans might be a bit older and more mature, but that doesn't mean that they have more or less talent than the Suns. The Suns will learn from this, but from what we've seen in the season, that was a very uncharacteristic loss, and you can't blame fatigue because they had the week off from the bye. So, not good for the Suns. They'll need to regroup because they're coming up against the red-hot West Coast Eagles next week, and God knows what Harley Reid is going to do up there. Harley Reid is living in my head rent-free. Number 8, the difference between North and West Coast. Hawthorn go up against North Melbourne, the sides that haven't won a game, and the Hawks win convincingly. North have been so bad for so long, and I know they've had pretty rough fixturing to start the year, but they are just so far from it. And when you see West Coast turning around and there's sort of like a spark that gets the whole club going. How long has it been since we've seen that from North Melbourne? I think the difference between North and West Coast is West Coast actually have good, mature players. Now Kelly, Yo, Barras, McGovern, Darling are all in form. The whole team sort of lifts, and North just don't have that. I couldn't name you one North player that has all Australian quality over the age of sort of 26, 27. Who do they have there? You can't put the pressure of the entire club on Sheasel, Colby McKercher, Zane Dersma, all these young players, because they've only played footy for a couple of years. You need the older fellas to show them how it's done, and you look at the older fellas and it's Darcy Tucker, Luke McDonald, like just bang average players that go missing. Well, Darcy Tucker at least went missing for Freo for years, and he's not a player that you can rely on. Sorry to signal you out, Darcy, but there's just not enough quality of the mature age players at North Melbourne, and that's the difference. That win that they got last year against Gold Coast is probably the worst thing that could have happened to them. I know they got 2 guns, but Harley Reid again. Harley Reid is living in my head rent-free. Oh my God. Yeah, just the dark times continue for North Melbourne. I don't know when they're going to get their next win. Probably against Freo, the way we're going. And number 9, we're 785 subscribers away from 10K. And 56% of the audience still isn't subscribed. We can get to 10K quick, sharp. And if you're enjoying the content and want to support the channel, it would mean a massive amount if you could subscribe. It takes time. It takes effort to make these videos. So if you do enjoy watching them and you haven't subscribed, it would mean a lot if you did. There'll be some different looking content coming out on the channel very soon. I'm in the process of sort of switching it up. Obviously just moved to Melbourne, as I've said, so the content, production and quality should start to noticeably improve. So keep it locked to the Drewzy channel. I'll see you in the next video. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like and comment down below what you learnt from this round of footy. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, take care. You plonkers.